Yeah, nice job, Nathan. On silencing the audio, but not unmuting it before we go live. We were chatting a little bit beforehand, but welcome everybody to Zwift Community Live broadcast.
Nice job,
of the
Nathan.
KISS Community League
Race number
silencing
one.
the audio,
Europe.
but not unmuting it before we go live. Silencing the
Table.
audio,
Of course,
but
with
not unmuting it before we go
360
live. We were
racers
chatting
in
a
the
little bit
open race
before-
currently.
and it looks like we got over 45 signed up currently for the women's exclusive race out there today. I'm joined by none other than Mr. Race Analyst Greg Leal from the community, as well as Team Draft, I believe still he's riding for. I don't know. There's been a lot of change-ups in the community racing lately. But, Greg, welcome to the broadcast. Looking forward to this one. This looks to be one of the most hotly contested races that we've seen out there lately. And why don't we, let's look at before we get into any of the analyzation, what's going to be happening here. Let's just take a quick look at the start here as we're getting a little bit late start to the broadcast here. And as usual here, we've got the orange numbers really starting to pop off from the get-go here. Let's go ahead and see how things really start to play out. We do have Canyon ZC here up toward the front here. The Poison Dart is here as well. It looks like riding for Team Draft here. Messineo there, 160 beats per minute there. Keto as well, it looks like. Our Beavis from the Rowan King team is there, it looks like, and the women's race has popped off as well. 37 racers in total, and they're flying just as fast. 63 kilometers per hour currently happening in the women's race. We'll jump in there just a moment with them because there have been some new teams jumping into the world of the women's racing as well. Greg, the race is off. It's kicked off here at this point. What do you think this is going to be all about today? I'm thinking the climb. What's this course all about, though?
Oh,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah, man, it's those two climbs. Here's the thing: this first climb, roughly a 2-minute climb, comes like 2 kilometers into the race. So this selection is going to happen early. There's going to be 2 big selections on this course, on the 2 big climbs up into the high line. And this first one comes, like I said, just 2 kilometers. They're gonna ride through Central Park here for a little bit, and they're gonna go at it. It's kind of deceiving. They enter into the high line. And they go through the first KOM line. It seems like that's where the climb starts, but actually then they take a right, and that's where the climb really starts. They'll go through the second KOM line, and that's when we'll know it kicks off. That climb is kind of almost a 3-tier climb. It has 3 pitches. The last pitch is the steepest up into the kind of flat area before the KOM banner. So that's what we're going to be looking at. I mean, we're going to be looking at probably some of the fastest times ever put down on that climb. I believe Messineo has one of the fastest times, but there's a lot of talent in this race. So I believe those 2 climbs are really where it's going to happen, Nathan.
So as far as favorites go, though, I mean, you mentioned Messineo is out there. I know that Lionel Vyasen is out there as well. We've got a lot of heavy hitters. Anybody showing up, though, that's not a familiar name out on course here right now? You know what? And there's so many riders, it looks like, even with our special doodads to make sure that we don't lose anybody, man. And we're getting a couple of dropouts here and there, but it looks like everything's starting to come back together a little bit here. But I mean, anybody showing up today that we're not used to seeing in and amongst the open/men's, mostly going to be the front end of the men's race. I'll call it, not officially though here.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to tell with these kind of dark horse riders who might show up. But the thing is, we're not going to have to wait long to find out. One name I noticed here who we saw in that Innsbruck race that we watched together the other day is Ed Leverick from the Cycling Hub team. He was hanging with that front group up the Innsbruck climb for a long time, so he could be a threat. Not a name that we see that often racing for Wahoo Cycling Hub. So he could be someone to watch out for. But at this point, they've gone through that first kind of pseudo KOM line. They're going to then take a right soon, and then that's going to really go up. So we'll see once we get through that. Once we get through that first climb, we'll take a look at those names in that front group because I suspect not too much is going to come together. Well, it could be a little bit on the downhill, but that's going to be really where the first selection comes, Nathan.
Yeah, so the men's race really starting to pop off on this first little selection. We are seeing the 9.9 watts per kilogram coming from the Poison Dart here. We've got Ollie Jones quickly following that up here. A lot on the line here being the premier Community League out here. For those of you just tuning in, race number 1, KISS Community League Europe, the most hotly contested Premier League for sure out on Zwift at the moment. 411 jumped into this race right now for the open race. And at the lead, we are seeing the Poison Dart here, 8.6 watts per kilogram. Dig Deep coaching here. Dan Fleeman also following it up. Now, in the women's race, we definitely want to check this out because I saw some Zwift legends out here jumping into the women's race. I see Cassie Baldy, the UK reigning national champion here. Hubach is up to the front from Innovation. Whitelaw's there as well. I see none other than Rachel Elliott has jumped in to the race out here. And Rachel's getting dropped at this point, but I mean, with, some definite health issues over the last couple of years here, just being here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost like honorary, I would say, to have Rachel Elliott jumping into this race here, and absolutely amazing to see her, demolishing this course right now. Sitting in sixth place, this girl's got the kind of engine that I would not count her out, even though she's a little ways back at this point, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely one of the most beloved riders on Zwift, and I think, given that this is the KISS community team, and she's a racer for KISS, I think she wanted to come out and kind of honor the race by bringing her presence to it. And what's really amazing is how fast Rachel has recovered. To be able to put out the power she is right now, after the health issues she had is really amazing. So and she's almost already back on top of her game, even with a reduced training load. I spoke to her a little bit about the training load, and I think she's got definitely a different approach to training right now than she used to. She's spent quite a lot of time on the bike, but her body really bounces back, and I think that's just what comes with being such an elite athlete and training for so long. Her body's just ready to get back to that top form.
Yeah, definitely. Tons and tons of Zwift miles, as well as in real life, coming from Rachel Elliott. All right, up and over the top of the Zwift banner here for the KOM here with the men's race here. Bigham here actually jumping in. Team Ribble showing up for the Community League. Good to see. I was chatting a little bit with Ed Hopper over Instagram last night. They are so incredibly excited about Zwift right now. They are seriously all about animating these races, and it looks like Bigham here is jumping in here. Team Ribble showing up with the Community League, looking to race against some of those who he has to race in the Pro League as well with the KISS Super League on Wednesday. So for if you guys are just tuning in with with us here on Zwift Community Live, you can also check out the KISS Super League, the Pro League that is happening on Wednesdays as well. But looks like Ribble is definitely doing his homework here. Maybe not just his homework. Maybe he's looking to take down the Community League win here as well. Because I would not be counting out the likes of Team Ribble on the front end of this race. But we do have a breakaway here at this point. It looks like with Dan Fleeman, ex-professional racer, actually riding for Dig Deep Coaching right now, though. Diner is here as well from Canyon ZC. It looks like Kroll there for the Watts. WPK. Who is WPK? Do you know this racer?
Let me have a look here. WPK. I'm not familiar with him. Let's see here.
Coming out of Poland here. This is an interesting rider I've never seen before.
I'll take a minute to look through here. We'll see if we can find something about him.
All right, sounds good. Obviously, Ollie Jones, lots of verified badges up toward the front end of this race here. Messineo is there as well. The Poison Dart riding for Team Draft. Hug is there as well, coming from Innovation now. So we do have a solid group of 8 on the front here. A couple of attacks coming through here, but Go Live here is going to be closing things down for the country of Norway with Mail here right on his wheel for the KRT team. Lavrik there, as you were saying, from the Wahoo Cycling Hub team there, trying to put a little effort in there as well. This is a nice chase group, as you do see. Alex West from ZCC Canyon, not going to make any chasing now. Steve Young there as well from Canyon. They're not going to be super interested in doing any work on the front end here. We're going to have to see a lot of work from the other teams. ZWC there, we're seeing ZDRT as well as Sobrara there as well. Lavrik, I think, is going to be the main one that's going to be wanting to make that chase. West is not going to have any interest, I don't think. We do see out the front, though, Masaki here coming out of Japan now. ZWC making a big effort on the front end of this race with an aero power-up, and that's how it's got to be done if he doesn't want to bring the rest of the group here with him. But I'm not sure that is the smartest move here because, well, actually, now there's an attack on the front here, so perhaps it is. Barring any more of these attacks, any more of these speed-ups, trying to get away from that group that is making the chase. 15 seconds there, opening it up again, so it was well-timed Masaki here because he may not have been able to make this juncture with that group if these attacks continue on the front end of this race here. But, Goliv here along with the rest, I think they have a good chance to bring this back here. Greg, what do you think? I mean, I really do think that this is probably going to come back together unless there's a lot of motivation amongst those eight riders.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've said before about a situation like this. Those 8 riders who got off on that first climb, they know there's another one coming. And they, like I said, they get away on the first one. They know they can get away from this group behind on the second one. This group has shown they don't have the legs to hang, these front 8 guys on the climb. So I don't think that front 8 is going to be too much worried about this group catching on. It's always stay away when you can. But I do suspect the Origin is going to be a little stronger in this group behind.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be a lot of motivation with them. And, looking at a top 20 currently, 19 seconds is the difference, though. We'll have to wait and see. They are doing the climb twice. Messineo, though, here going from way out here. 6.5 watts per kilogram currently. Quite the effort here coming from Messineo. We have to see if this is going to be able to pull this off. We'll jump back in with this breakaway in just a moment, though. But what's happening with the ladies' race here? We do see a breakaway with none other than Whitelaw here, the Australian national champion right alongside the Denmark national champion, Hubach, as well as Whitelaw here off the front. 34 seconds from 2 national champions out on Zwift. I'm not sure. I think, this race might be said and done for the women's situation here as far as first and second goes, because this is absolutely a huge effort from some of the strongest women racers that we've ever seen out on Zwift for sure. Whitelaw, I believe ex-pro, or at least elite racer. Whitelaw here is, absolutely got the power here. She's showing us with that 5.0 plus watts per kilogram right now.
Yeah, she's actually held 5.2 for the first 10 minutes of this race. Go back as well. So, I mean, they're putting out some really elite numbers right now, and they both have 20-minute power in that 5-minute range. And looking at their power profiles, they're actually very well matched. This could be a really interesting duo to come into. I mean, there's obviously a lot of time still, but this could be a really interesting duo to come into the finish line together. They could end up playing a little cat and mouse with each other, those few kilometers before the finish line.
Yeah, I think the climb is where things separated out. They proved themselves there. They are increasing their lead, though, as you can see here. Cassie Ball, the UK national champion, with Moin here leading things out of Denmark as well here. We do see Rachel Elliott sitting in on the wheels here, as well as Eklund. And then there is going to be Falk, the ZCC team. I did see them jumping into their Discord channel prior to the race out here, actually. So ZCC Canyon women's team, at least, are out on course and communicating in their Discord from what I can see. So we might see some organization at the front end of this chase at this point. Cassie Baldi, 4.5, 6.2 watts per kilogram on the front here. But with that kind of a gap, it's 49 seconds, almost out to a minute right now. And they seem very organized. Innovation. I mean, same team off the front. I'm not sure, with that kind of power, this chase group would have to get as organized as a well-oiled machine that Team Innovation is.
Yeah, and looking at this group, the only teammates are Eklund and Falk coming from the Canyon team. I think Whitelaw and Hubach are really probably very interested in keeping Cassie behind them at this point, because Cassie really does have the strongest sprint in this group, and so they really don't want her coming back, because if they bring her to the line, there's a very good chance she would take them in the sprint. So this is a great move by Innovation to get off the front at this point.
That's a great point, actually, having a solid, steady state to threshold effort versus the sprinters here. Now behind, this is the second chase group out on course here. We do see C. Reed as well as Hildonen there from the Canyon CCC. Rigor Mortals there as well, coming out of the Netherlands there. Go Kalp there from Team Fearless, hammering away there in that third chase group, just about 30 seconds back from here with Kirsty Hull from Vision. And it is going to be about 2 riders up in this chase group at this point. They might be able to bring this back 4.6 watts per kilogram or so on those Tron bikes there a little ways back. Then another, this is really all kinds of split up, though. Johnson here with Brewer, we are seeing, as well as Inslee making this chase behind there from PTZ now. Backing off just a little bit, looking to get a little bit of rest in the legs, it looks like here. But back up toward the front here, this is the main chase group containing Rachel Elliott as well as Eklund here from Canyon ZCC. We do have, it looks like, Whitelaw, though, and Hubach off the front, the two national champions for the women's side of the racing. Back in with the men's race, though, at the front end of this race, things have calmed down a little bit. The Dart was caught, was unable to get off the front of the race. It is only 12 seconds between the lead group at this point and the chase. We're going to see them just off in the distance in the background there. Let's go ahead and bring this in just a little bit closer so you guys can see exactly what the group gap is here. But Vyaztin here off the front there for Canyon ZCC, putting a little pole in because they do not want to get caught, it looks like there. But you do see just off in the distance over the shoulders of these races that 15 seconds gap with Gavin Dempster for Team Draft. Maybe even making a little bit of a chase there, even though the Dart is on the front here, hammering the pace now. 15 seconds is the difference here. There's the Tron Bikes making the chase behind now. Diner here now following up with that 8 watts per kilogram there to try and close down what Messineo, the Poison Dart Frog, is doing on the front of this pack. Now, Vyaztin now sitting in 6.1. No, up and out of the saddle, grab back onto the wheel now, as you can see, as the riders are definitely using these little undulations. You know, we said it was all about the climb here, Greg, but it looks like these rollers are creating an opportunity for the racers to try and break things apart, and some of these riders might be on limit. This looks like to be a little bit of a threat for a few of them, as we do usually, if riders are up and out of the saddle like that, you do see that it is an issue at that point for them to really be able to stay with the pack.
Yeah, you know, that 2-minute climb, that first 2-minute climb, an effort like that, you know, a lot of these guys are probably at their maximum. That's an effort that takes a long time to recover from, you know, unless you're riding zone 1. So it could be some of these riders that have more fitness, guys like, Diner and Messineo are kind of maybe leveraging that against them, right? So like trying to keep the pace high so they can't really recover. That's a possibility here. You take any opportunity you can to soften up the legs of the other riders in your group like this. They may also just be trying to stay away from that group behind. You know, I was saying that their motivation probably isn't so much to keep away, but you know, there's always a little pride in maintaining the gap that you formed on a climb. So there's any number of reasons these guys might be kind of pushing it here, but I'm not seeing any serious attacks by any of the riders, just some little surges here and there.
I have a feeling that those surges had everything to do with that 15 seconds, actually. Looking at this, it has calmed down the moment that they got through a few of those rollers there. Whiteley here, as you can see, leading things out with Vader. This is the main chase group, as you can see. Actually, it's swelled quite a bit. And I believe that this front group at this point is going to have their work. Seeing Steve Young there from Canyon as well. Mail is there. The question is there enough riders in the front group, though, that are teammates of some of the stronger riders in this chase group to really cause them to just calm it right on down, that there isn't going to be a whole lot of motivation amongst the stronger riders in this chase group at this point? I'm seeing Rowan King up in here with Evis. He might be able to. The All-Stars here with Zimmerman. Now, Zimmerman riding for the All-Stars in this race? No, he's going to be riding for Draft and just not a team name change in-game, if I'm not incorrect there. Right, Greg?
Yeah, I imagine he just, maybe he jumped into the race a little bit late and forgot to change his tag back to Draft or something like that. You see that sometimes. I notice Kim Little rides with the All-Star tag on all the time. In fact, him and I did a little race, and we saw a couple of the KSL pros out there as well. Guys from Madison Genesis and from, I believe it was Wiggins. I'm not sure, but, it's nice to see all these pros just jumping into races and training. It just shows how motivated they are really by the KISS Super League.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, jumping in and getting, as we've been saying, getting their homework done. It seems like as far as the KISS Super League goes, they're starting to get their gaming legs underneath them as far as how there's how they need to be Zwifting to win a Zwift race. But looking at the social media integration here, if you guys do want to ask any questions, you want to ask any, have any comments or anything, go ahead and bring them on through. I am seeing there is a question here about what the course distance is. And I do believe on the day here today, according to Zwift Power, the course distance today is going to be 34 kilometers total on the day. Ches Kozłowski is saying here. Ian Anderson is stuck on this, though, here, as we did with Like and Lady Liberty, it sounds like here. But thanks for the comment there, Ian Anderson. But Dave, now we do see you in there as well. Hi, Nathan Garrett. Thanks a lot for the broadcast. So if you do want to jump on into the broadcast, lots of ways that you can do so. Go ahead and comment over on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or you can also tweet at us at Z Community Live. There's another option, too. You can bring in any kind of media that you do want to over on Twitter. So if you got your racing set up, you've got your, what you're doing currently out on Zwift, or some sort of podium or celebration of what you've done through Zwifting, anything that's community related to Zwift, go ahead and tweet it at us and we'll bring it into the broadcast. We love to see, especially the High from Ohio team training camp, team training dorms, or otherwise known as esports training centers. If you do have those, go ahead and bring those on in as well through Twitter. So back in with the ladies race, though, it looks like it's been kind of, oh, nope, we don't want the Nathan Gerasine here, but we do have here Whitelaw with Hubach there. 51 seconds is the difference here. Rachel Elliott there, Falk and Eklund. They've kind of solidified that gap, but it's stuck right at around that 45 to 1 minute. It kind of fluctuates a little bit here. This means it's not all said and done. The question is going to be, have they been over what they can hold for the duration of the race at this point in this front group for the ladies race here? Whitelaw, sitting in 3.3, 4.7 on the front. It looks like they're trying to hold somewhere between a 4.5 to 5 watts per kilogram on the front end of this race. 104, 105 here, Cassie. It looks like with the chase, though, I kind of think they're throwing in the towel here with what we're seeing with Rachel Elliott here on the right-hand side. Eklund there as well with Canyon. I think the motivation is mainly going to be within the legs of Canyon, being the only team that's got two riders in and amongst this chase group at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the ladies on the front, Whitelaw and Hobak, are at their threshold. I mean, they both held 20-minute power here, comparable with some of the best they've ever done on Zwift. So they're definitely at the limit. And some of the legs on the riders in this chase group, they have a little bit left over. They're all a little bit below their kind of 20-minute best power. So I think there's a little bit of reserve in the legs of this group back. There is a possibility that they're saving enough energy to maybe bring it back when they hit that second hill, if they can keep this gap, kind of to a conservative under a minute or something like that. There is a possibility they'll be able to pull it back on that hill with the extra energy they've saved by, taking it a little bit easier in this group. So I don't think we should be counting them out just yet, but, an Innovation definitely working well together on the front.
Yeah, Innovation has shown up to take the W in this first one, it looks like here. It looks like almost planned on the day, the way they went at that climb here. Speaking of, Canyon, the ZCC team, the new Canyon elite / I would say almost semi-professional team at this point. This is something new out in the world of Zwift that we haven't seen before, specifically prepped for the community league. Actually, we have a men's and a women's team. So when you see the Canyon ZCC out there, this is actually a supported Zwift team out there. They have a kit, they got a bike, they got a they have a trainer, they got a clothing, the whole real deal when it comes to a professional / semi-professional team. They are a fully supported team here, and I think Eklund and Falk are going to be out here looking to really put the hammer down at the front end of this chase group to prove something for the Canyon ZCC team. So I would not count them out as well. They look very well organized here, the way that they're riding amongst each other, and I believe that they've been training quite a lot out on Zwift together to try and get used to using Discord and the communications that you need in order to really be able to win a race together out on Zwift. Back in with the men's race, though, we do have a couple of attacks that are taking place here. We did see Messineo as well as Vyasen, it looked like they're on a little bit of an attack in the front. The Poison Dart here, 185 beats per minute currently. This is almost risky, it seems like, with the way that he's riding this heart rate right up against that or over threshold for a lot of the race so far here. Will the Dart tire? That's the question here. Or is he just able to just go over and over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, one thing about the Poison Dart Frog is his ability to continually ride at an extremely high heart rate. I mean, it's like you watch his live streams and I've seen him in the 190s for a prolonged period. So 170 here, I think he's actually probably feeling pretty rested at this point, despite the difficulty of this race so far.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out here. 166 immediately here. I mean, the guy's got an amazing engine here to be able to kick like that 20 beats higher, and within less than 30 seconds drops 20 beats. He's got some crazy endurance. in the legs there, as well as the cardiovascular. If you do see that kind of a jump and then a quick fall in the heart rate, you know that the efficiency of the body is absolutely amazing. Now, this is a crazy large chase group on this descent right here. As you can see, they are absolutely flying 67, 66 kilometers per hour here. This is the main threat section, I think, for them to come back here. We're seeing 30 riders, about 30, 31 riders in and amongst this chase group. And this actually is becoming a threat, I think, at this point, with them only, as from what I can see. And, you know, this might be such a huge, not waste, but, man, all that effort off the front for that long, and now it's only a 1-2 second gap up to the front now at this point. I mean, this is really a threat now. They've got him within sight. And if anybody wants to go, this is going to be the moment back into the climbs here. And here come the orange numbers. Dempster, though, 5.8. He's got to close it down now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some power-ups at this point, because it's now or never to get onto a wheel before the climb proper actually starts. This is actually just the hump before we really get into the steep stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this group got within sort of like just the right distance of the chase group to really just let a select few from that chase group potentially cover the gap. You know, when they catch right at the climb like this, there's a possibility that just a few will make it across. You know, one thing about the chase group is all of the sprinters were in there. I mean, Steve Young and Zimmerman, and, you know, we might even classify Alex West as a sprinter now with the efforts he's been putting in the Super League and elsewhere. And Gavin Dempster as well. Never count him out in the sprint. So, you know, this front group really probably was, you know, looking back on this, this front group really probably was very motivated to keep this chase group off, because you don't want to take any of those guys to the line. I mean, they still have the second climb coming up. You know, this is kind of a little bit of an intermediate climb that's in here, and then there'll be another about 4 or 5 kilometers until we hit the big climb proper. But, you know, this is another chance to really string it out. So, you know, right after this, they'll hit a little downhill, and we'll see how these groups sort of solidify.
Look at how this is breaking apart now. Laverick falling off. He's using that arrow power up at this point. But like you said, a select group trying to make that gap happen now. Now they need to work together, because there's a chase containing none other than the KISS Final Europe last year winner, Gavin Dempster. Laverick, Vouter is there as well. This is a serious group they do not want with them now. But at this point, it looks like we've got the dream team with Team Ribble as well as West all together now, with the dart off the front, pushing the pace with Innovation and Hug. Dan Fleeman, they've picked up quite a few, though, right along with them. Riders they most likely do not want hanging onto the wheels. Matthew Austin as well as West there. Canyon ZCC representing in the first Community League race today. Ollie Jones from the ZA Dream Team as well, trying to close this on down here. Interesting dynamic having Jones and West on separate teams within the Community League. Want to speak a little bit to that? How's that playing out? What do you think is happening within the minds of some of these racers? Because now you've got an ex-team draft, Bjorsen in here riding for Canyon. You've got 2 Vision boys who are no longer riding the same team because it's ZA Dream Team and Canyon. Some swap-ups here, but at the same time, with riders you've raced with before, you're going to maybe work together a little bit because you know each other. How do you think this is going to play out here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sort of like all else equal, you're more likely to work with someone who was your teammate before. I know, Ollie and Alex are actually buddies in real life too. So, you know, I think that makes them more likely to work together if it comes down to this. Certainly, I don't think one is going to be working for the other at this point. You know, with Ollie riding on the Dream Team in the Dream Team livery, and Alex riding in the Canyon livery. I mean, I think if it comes down to the sprint, they're definitely not going to be leading each other out, but. You know, if one takes a pull for the other, that's probably just their kind of ongoing friendship. But, you know, now this group has come all back together, it looks like here. So,
man, I was
really
not expecting this. Not expecting this at all. I thought they were going to stay away. Now Mail off the front, more of a sprinter here, but they're just kind of letting him cruise away. Those initial kicks through that first little climb before we get into the proper KOM, I think they really put everybody on the back foot. I mean, those were like moments of absolute truth of whether or not you were going to be involved in this race or you were going to be shed off the back and be done for the day here. Everybody put everything that they could into that initial climb, and we haven't even hit the KOM now at this point. Vader toward the front here. Golub is there as well. ZTRT now 185 beats per minute. I think this is looking for a fake climb with that kind of heart rate at this point. Here comes Dig Deep coaching. Fleeman is going here. Now we're seeing Chuzinski, who's been very quiet for most of the race so far. I watch out for Chuzinski if he's been sitting in and getting a free ride up to this point. We know that this Peter here, definitely Team Poland has some power in the legs with Peter Chuzinski here. Laverick for Wahoo CH there, sitting on the wheel as well with Team Ribble. Dan Bigham here, 163 beats per minute currently now. Back in with the women's race quick before we hit the climb proper here, though. Let's see what's happening over here. Whitelaw here, and Hubach Innovation, they've been closed down to about 40 seconds, 39 seconds actually. So this might be another situation where the riders are unable to stay away perhaps after a killer effort to get away. We're seeing to the front end of the race right now. This is the lead group of two, both innovation riders here, both national champions of Zwift. Now, Moyne on the front here, 4.1 watts per kilogram. Cassie Baldy, the UK national champion, as well as Rachel Elliott right on her wheel. As you can see here, Eklund's there as well. Hansen, Falk, all together now. Looks like Canyon ZCC, though, has been dropping off. Jennifer Reel from Team Fearless now trying to make the chase to try and come back to that front, to that chase group as well. It's going to be Canyon ZCC, though, off the back. Eklund, the only one it looks like. No, Eklund and Falk, still involved here, but maybe getting dropped off. 190 beats per minute currently coming from Eklund. Falk just trying to hang on to that wheel. 5.4 watts per kilogram, 179 beats per minute. This is well into the threshold, the over threshold for these riders. Serious attacks happening here on the front with Moyne, but it's going to be Whitelaw and Hubach still on the front end of this race with almost a minute at this point. I think it may be said and done unless we see some serious efforts on the front end of that chase group at this point. I believe it's going to be an all-out battle between the two innovation riders. There may be a little bit of a handshake between them about who can do more of the community races or who wants to have the win for the day. They've definitely worked together at this point. Or perhaps they'll have some fun within the team and go for the sprint against each other there, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, knowing something about Team Innovation, they're definitely all about competition. They work together well as a team, but I do suspect if this comes down to just the two of them and they have a healthy gap, there's going to be a little competitiveness that arises in both of these ladies. I suspect we'll see some exciting sprint anyway from the two of them.
Back in with the men's race, though, we do see Westerfold. Now we do have, it looks like Westerfold, it looks like there, as well as the Poison Dart with a little bit of attack. They're going to be taking the final climb to the top of the KOM out here on the Everything Bagel here. The Dart now going really early. This is a lot of times the way to get it done. If you've got an effort that can go well in to the 3+ minutes, you're gonna. And I mean, well, this is gonna be. What do you think this climb's gonna be? We're seeing a 2:17, a 2:08. What is your prediction up on the top here? I think a 3-ish minute.
Yeah, so this climb, this direction is a little bit longer than the other direction. You know, this one I'm not quite as familiar with, honestly, but I think 3 minutes is probably a good prediction at this point.
Yeah, I believe so. Some of the fastest times I think we're going to see up over the top of this climb here. Messineo here trying to get a little bit of a gap immediately to make them chase, which means that they have to go up and over the top of what he is currently holding in order to even be on the wheel. It's a very smart way to climb out on Zwift, actually, because there is a little bit of a draft up and over on these climbs here. So Poison Dart here making it happen, though. Fleeman here, now if he gets enough, if he gets enough of a gap, he could completely stay away here, but the question is he going to be able to get that much of a gap here? Vyazin here, seeing that this is a real threat, goes into 10 watts per kilogram now on that 10% gradient. You have the upper right-hand side of the screen. You can see the exact gradient that Vyazin is holding right now with 511 watts, 185 beats per minute. Everything you got for 3 minutes is essentially what's going to be going down here. Dempster's back in there. We've got Bigham up toward the front of this race now, as you can see. It's going to be Hug, as well as a couple of others. We lost them for a second there with a little bit of dropouts there for the riders there, but we do see, for the broadcast, not the riders here. But Steve Young here, you were saying from Canyon ZCC is going to be a threat in the sprint if he can hang on, but it's going to be all about this next minute and a half of his life, whether he's got the pain in the legs to suffer through. West, though, going backward. This is not something we usually see. Zimmerman now trying to make the break. Man, the type of talent that we are seeing out here dropping off just shows how desperately these riders want to win this today. They're putting it all on the line for the Community League out here today. Greg, I mean, this is seriously some of the fastest racing we've ever seen out in this Everything Bagel before.
Oh yeah, actually, I'm looking at the KOM times for these two. for these two climbs, and Messineo actually has the fastest time on this climb at 2:30. Now, of course, since this is the second climb of the day, I don't think he's going to be putting quite that time down. That was probably done on a double draft race where it came first. But actually, the other rider you were mentioning before, Stu Kroll, I believe his name was, actually has the fastest KOM time on that forward KOM. So he's one who can definitely hang. He's shown he has that 2-3 minute power to hang with this group. So looking at his numbers, actually, it's not so surprising that he's up here.
The RPM's up into 140. Though I'm not sure it's going to count on the day though for Kroll.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of his races he does without a heart rate monitor, so he will be disqualified today. But good for hanging out there. Why don't you go ahead and get yourself a heart rate monitor, Stu?
Yep, that's a great call out there, Stu. Get the heart rate monitor going on there, get some verification, and we should be good to go here. With the drafting power, an arrow power up coming over the top here, it's going to be a 10-second gap for Messineo, the Poison Dart. I mean, that's serious
awesome.
Pickup. That is an amazing pickup, actually. He's 80 kilometers per hour on the descent there. Fleeman only at 67 kilometers per hour. This gap is going out now, and the Dart is flying off the front of this race. He is going all in. Chips are on the table right now. Full-on risk here. Will it hold up all the way through the turn and the river at this point? That's going to be the question, though, as Bigham, Team Ribble, Diner, Viasen, Dempster here, Dan Fleeman, all trying to make that chase. We've got a chase group of about 7 riders trying to bring back none other than Messineo, one of the fastest riders we've ever seen out on Zwift here. Will he be able to hold this solid TT effort to the finish, though? We saw him almost up in I think it was over 200 beats per minute, actually. He's got some beats to work with if he's got a kick here. But look at this chase group, man. I mean, there's plenty of strong riders in here. They get organized. Not sure it's going to play out here. We have to wait and see. It's going to be a 34-kilometer race, everybody. That's the total on the day. We saw those questions. There's only about 6.5K to go. 6.5K, everything you've got for about 10 minutes or so of your life, I think, is what it's going to be for Messineo. Maybe a little less than that here. But Bigham here, I mean, the gap is 15 seconds. Once this flattens out, this speed is going to be coming on like crazy into this flat here. But look at this speed. He's able to hold almost better than the chase group at this point. 70 kilometers per hour. The Dart, it knows how to make this happen, it looks like. Will he stay away? Greg, any predictions here? I mean, the attacks are on from Hug. Bigham's going as well. Damn Bigham, though. Team Ribble now on the front. 10 watts per kilogram. They're not letting this stay away, I don't think. I think there's some motivation in the legs here, Greg.
Yeah, Bigham using the truck power up at this point. Do they have another arch to come through? Is a question in my mind. Is there another chance for them to pick up a power up? I don't know the Everything Bagel enough to know whether that's the case. He could just be wasting that, or as a newer rider, maybe he doesn't.
There's a banner
here
right
it is,
there.
in fact. So
yep.
Yeah, so he was just wasting that before the banner to see what he could get. That makes me think he's maybe hoping for a helmet either for the sprint or to pull Messineo back. But
Messineo grabs another arrow power up. Look at the RNG. I mean, that is like rolling the dice so well all day here. I mean, we saw a few from all well. I think he's got nothing but arrow power ups on the day through every banner. Goes right back out to 17 seconds here. It's only going to be 5K to go. 5K to go, and Messineo with another arrow power up. Viasen says, okay, that's it. We can't depend on the rest of the riders any longer. Get to the front. 5.2 watts per kilogram. Viasen's going. Canyon ZCC have shown up to win this race. They're not letting Draft walk away with this one with the Dart on the front. But look, the rest of the riders are going to have to do some work here, it looks like, because Diner's still sitting in. 5.1, 5.4. Yeah. They need 6 watts per kilogram on the front to bring this back, Greg.
Yeah, and it's actually setting up really well for potentially either a draft 1-2 here, or even if they pull Messineo back, Gavin Dempster is getting a free ride from this. So he's definitely in the catbird seat on this sprint from this group, even if they don't catch him. So Draft have really set themselves up here, and man, with the Poison Dart, world-class time trialists off the front, I don't know if they're going to be able to get him.
Yeah, I'm seeing Dempster here sitting in. I mean, 4.3 watts per kilogram, just very chill at this point, 167. The rest of the riders toward the front here, 170. Diner, 173. We've seen Hug up in the 170s. This is almost their tempo for a moment here. I think, the Dart here is going to have to kick again, though. I have a feeling, you can only go crazy like this off the front so many times. Eventually you got to tire a little bit here. We're seeing 9 watts per kilogram again, but it's these little punches that he's had over and over again. I do not believe he's going to have a sprint at the end of this race to try and contest. It's still 4K to go. There's plenty of time to bring this back. This group I think they can taste a little bit of blood in the water, but like you said, the reality is Dempster, who's got one of the strongest sprints as well especially amongst the riders that we're seeing here. I think Dempster may be one of the favorites. Ribble, though, is in there. Dan Bigham, they've been showing us time and again they know how to sprint out on Zwift, especially in the KSL. We've got a full-on pro hanging out in the in the race here. We'll see if Ribble can take this down. And what's cool is that he's racing amongst some of the most experienced racers in the community as well. This would be a great, win for Ribble in the community league to bring, that experience into, okay, this is how this gets done amongst some of these more experienced riders, and bring that into the KSL Pro League amongst those who just got the pure power in that Pro League racing.
Yeah, Bigham, he's a national champion on the track. He's in the kilo, I believe, and in the pursuit, individual and team pursuit. He's one who could maybe try for a long attack here at the end, catch these other riders out. If he's got a helmet, he could potentially do it that way. We saw him lead out his teammates for that points competition in the KSL League race number 3. So he's definitely got the power to contest the sprint. Now, whether he does it as a sort of 15-second sprint or whether he tries to go long, we'll have to see. But it's still some time left here.
17 seconds is the difference. It's under 3K to go at this point. What is the difference in seconds? I think it's got to be between 5 and 10 for it to be a reality for them to bring it back in the full-on 500-meter sprint. I think they can close down about 5 seconds or so, maybe even up in the 10 if they go from about a K out, with some aero power-ups. I think that Vyazin has to hold on to over 10 seconds before, within that 1K to really hold on to this at this point. And they are starting to lax a little bit here, but no, the Dart is backing off under 5. That's the first time I've seen him under 5 watts per kilogram for quite a while now. This looks to maybe be calming down a little bit here. The time gaps are not correct at this point. That's just because they're switching up course realities for a second here. It is actually 13 seconds at this point, 12 seconds. It's definitely coming back. I think the Dart has really gotten a little bit of poison taken out of that sting at this point.
What was interesting there is his heart rate was not super high. My guess is that is just lactic acid in his legs. It's just, telling him, his legs are telling him at this point that he can't go any harder. Although, look at him go again. As I say that, he kicks up to 600 watts, and his heart rate rises immediately. So, maybe he just needed a little micro rest.
Greg, I think it's those moments where you're just trying to find anything that's left. You're just like all you have left are those little 5-second kicks. That's all that's there. The threshold is gone. You can only really do something that doesn't have to do with taking oxygen really and sugar and matching them together at this point. There's just no more sugar in the legs any longer, and he's just trying to find whatever kick is there. 6 watts per kilogram again, though, as you can see, maybe finding another little bit of an effort here. I think Vyazin as well as Bigham are starting to get concerned. 5.7 watts per kilogram in the front with Vyazin. One of these Canyon ZCC team members are going to have to just play the sacrificial lamb at this point. It's only a K to go. This is it. They've got to throw down and lead things out.
Yeah, Lionel is absolutely one of the best team players in the game. He showed in the live final at the CBR World Cup that win in any number of ways. And yet we see him time and time again playing the super domestique, for his teammates. He's an absolutely selfless rider. He's going to sit on the front of this thing at 6 watts per kilogram all day to try and set it up for Diner, I think.
Look at this, though. There's the gap. It's in sight. They're right there. This is 13 seconds, but they just can't get it done, it seems. They just can't get organized. It has to happen now. There's less than a K to go. They're going to get into the 500-meter band, 500 meters to go in a moment here, and the Dart's still throwing down 7 watts per kilogram. Brie Austin now stepping up to the front now, 5.8 watts per kilogram, trying to lead things out. Do they have the aero power-ups? They're going to be popping any moment now. It's only this downhill in just a moment here into the finish banner. It's a downhill sprint. It's going to be all about the big power for the sprint amongst the group at this point. Here comes the Dart here. You can see up in the upper right-hand corner, there's in the mini map there. There's the finish line just around the corner. It's going to be within sight in just a second here. It's not within that 10 seconds here. They might be racing for second at this point. I'm not sure if they're going to pull this back. It looks like the Dart can even throw his hands in the air and cruise across the line perhaps without have to look over his shoulder and say it's all said and done. We'll have to see, but here comes Bigham. There's 8 watts per kilogram coming from Bigham. Diner starting to go. The Dart sees that they're coming on now. Bigham up in the 6 watts per kilogram. They don't want to go too early. They don't want to race for 10th. They want to race for at least second at this point. Bigham now kicking. Is Bigham going to be able to hold on to this now? 10.9 watts per kilogram. Here goes 17 watts per kilogram. Bigham's got a gap now. Dempster's trying to follow it up. Where is Lionel? Is he going to hold on? That's going to be the question. It's come right to the line, but I think I think the Poison Dart might have held on to this one. Here comes Dempster, though, and Dempster, it looks like, going to take second, I believe, to the likes of Dan Bigham, who got the kick very early there. I'm going to have to look at the replay there. We just missed it, but the winner did come across the line. I thought that Messineo was going to get caught, so we were staying on Bigham there as well as Dempster. But it looks like perhaps Messineo was able to hold on to that one here. Let's go ahead and jump back into that replay here and see how that played out real quickly, and then we'll jump into the women's race as they are finishing up their final 4K here. But I just want to see what exactly went down there. There goes Bigham now, it looks like. Dan Bigham absolutely killed 14 watts per kilogram. The gap is still 6 seconds. You see, it's coming down really quickly here. Here comes Dempster trying to close it down. We're within the last few, but no, Bigham holds on to second. Messineo was already across the line. That looks like Dempster came in for third. We'll have to wait, though, for the official results from Zwift Power because, the back-end API don't lie. That's just the reality. So there may have been some time gaps that we, within the digital world, the ones and zeros, that actually had the racers across at different points. But what an amazing effort there from, the chase group to try and bring that back. But no, it was Messineo who was able to hold on to a crazy attack up into the top of that KOM. I mean, what an effort over the top of that KOM there.
Yeah, that was classy move. I mean, he knows the game so well at this point. He knows how much benefit you get from that aero helmet on that downhill. And with any little gap, he was looking to take advantage of that and hope that the group behind would fall victim to the Volunteers dilemma.
We've got some great comments coming from Twitch. If you guys don't watch over on Twitch, I guess Face is the place. Appreciate that. Should be for those of you who are Hearthstone players. Bigham number 2 to letting us know. OS Brock. I mean, if you aren't watching over on Twitch, there's a little bit of fun going on over on the reality of the Twitch world there with some of the emotes that are coming on through. Face is the place as Messineo absolutely demolished with straight up Smorkin the rest of the crowd there. All those Zwift people are like, what is Nathan?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, not at all. But Toot definitely does here. Messineo average of 5.9, and that's what he's talking about there. It's just a Hearthstone joke. No worries there. So Whitelaw along with Hubach here, as you can see here, off the front here, they're not going to get caught. It's going to be a battle at this point between the two innovation riders. But the question is, what's happening behind with this chase group? It looks like there was a break, actually, with Rachel Elliott sitting currently in third place in the KISS Community League with a national champion on her wheel here. Hansen there from Innovation. Innovation set up to go 1-2-3 today in the Community League, Greg. What's that all about? They've shown up for real today.
Yeah, Innovation, their women's team is super strong. They lost two of their top male riders to the K team, both James Phillips and Stevie. Two of the riders from Innovation who have been to live events and are absolutely class riders. So but now their women's team stepping up and showing that Inc. is still a force to be reckoned with. Out in the community races. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with those national championship kits, they're probably showing a little bit here of what they've got for what the upcoming national championships. I believe that is in a week and a half, actually. So we'll see if they can hold on to those jerseys for the duration of 2019 here. But Whitelaw Hubach here still rocking them and rocking the watts at the front end of this race here, as we've got 40 minutes of racing so far. K and a half to go. We'll have to see if they're going to battle it out amongst each other. Again, Rachel Elliott making a debut today. Backing off a little bit and letting Hansen get a little bit of gap now. 3.6 watts, now 4.8. Looks like she's good to go to get back on that wheel here, as you can see. Rachel Elliott. Eklund here coming from the Canyon ZCC team. Now hanging on the wheel of Moyne. It looks like Kristen Falk had the back on off here coming out of Norway here. We'll give her a ride on for her efforts there. Jennifer Reel from Team Fearless, as well as it looks like Reagan Mortal here coming out of the Netherlands, also riding for that ZCC team. It looks like Hildonen here off the back a little bit here with C. Reed. Now it looks like sitting on the wheel there from the KRT team. Those three hanging in amongst this group. 190 beast per minute coming from Van Rigomoto. So that is a crazy high heart rate, really working hard to try and make that chase perhaps up to Kristen Falk, work together there. Well, perhaps let her go actually at this point. No need to make that chase. It's going to be up to KRT and Fear to try and bring that back with 138 and only about 2.5K to go. I do not believe that's going to be happening. Now the battle, though, into the last little uphill gradient here. It's going to be mainly flat into the downhill sprint between the two innovation riders, Whitelaw and Hubach. It is going to be Rachel Elliott on the front of the chase now again in that KRT kit with that